okay, we'll get through this. Fast forward now, we'll get through this.
Welcome. Oh my goodness, I'm late, and I'm sorry I'm late. There's some reasons behind that, but my thoughts always go back to a really good friend of mine, Ryan, who always said, there's always excuses, Jeremy. You always have excuses. Well, I got excuses, okay? Thank you. By the way, thank you for joining. This is Pass Forward Now. I'm Jeremy. We are rolling into episode 10 right now. I'm so excited about the guest. The guests were the brothers who formed a band called Right Said Fred. Man, what an honor to hang out with these guys. I mean, every one of our guests, I'm going to say the same thing probably over and over and over again, but I'm genuinely super excited about who our guests are because they take the time. And I'll tell you this, so far, every one of our guests have had a fun, amazing story. And at some point in time in that story, they talk about the challenges, the speed bumps, what it took for them to get through it, and the hope. What is that hope that they had to pull them out and to continue their journey onto what they're doing today? I had an amazing conversation with these guys, seriously. I'm going to keep the intro super short, but I did want to preface this with this, and I'm a little upset, okay? And this is the main reason why this episode is so late. For some weird, odd, dumb reason, my audio just took a dump during this interview. Mine did. Now, the boys, Richard and Fred, their audio was good. Their audio was really good. I mean, just hang out and listen. Don't worry about mine. If you're watching on YouTube, I did make sure I put subtitles on my part of the conversation. If you're listening to the Apple Podcast, Spotify, or on Amazon Music, my apologies. My audio sucks, but you might be able to get a little bit of this and a little bit of that out of what I'm saying. You'll definitely hear what the gentlemen are saying. It was the first interview that I had while I was here in America. They were in the UK. That was exciting as well. No challenges. I will tell you, they're super genuine. They're super real. I got a new perspective on who Right Said Fred was outside of they're the guys who came up with the I'm so sexy. I'm too sexy. Another thing I wanted to talk about is during the interview, we talked about, or asked him about, it's like you went from the catwalk and then I talk about the beer bench. So they have, just for clarification, they have a song that they came out, released it like 5 years ago. It's I'm Too Sexy, but instead of them talking about the catwalk, they talk about Unda Bierbank. I think that's how you say it. Unda Bierbank, which is the beer bench. And that's why I said what I said. If you have a chance to check it out, the music video, it's so fun. It really is. It's a touch of Right Said Fred meets polka come together, and there's just something addicting about it. I don't know what it is. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging in there. I will give you an update. The Como family we're doing better. There's still a lot of challenges that we're trying to get through and figure out. A lot of big changes that are coming. And that announcement will be probably 2 months down the road. Some big changes in the Como house. Yeah, I don't want to give any spoilers away yet as we're working on putting those pieces of puzzle together. So nobody's pregnant. Mom, Matt, Ryan, if you think that somebody's pregnant, we're not having another baby. Okay. 5 is enough. Our 5 beautiful blessings. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. I just wanted to say, I love you guys. I love you for the support. I love you guys for checking in to see how things are doing, to see how you can help support us. Again, just a simple prayer, sending good vibes our way. That it just means the world to us. It really does. So at this point in time, I would love to just stop talking and introduce my new friends. Right, said Fred, right here on Pass Forward Now. Welcome to Pass Forward Now. How are you guys?
We're well,
good.
thank you.
We're
Very
fine,
well.
thank you. Yeah, we're good.
How are you?
Good. I'm good. I'm over here in Florida, in the States, and things are warming up, nice and 80. I always hate to lead conversations with temperature, but it's always a relevant thing. What does it look like outside?
Today's all right.
It's okay. Warmer.
We had, I think I'm right in saying in the UK we've had 40 days of rain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was quite biblical, and it was
It's like Seattle.
yeah. It wasn't heavy, but it was raining at some point during the day every day for 40 days.
Wow.
So people have been moaning and going mental because a lot of people believe that the skies are being seeded, which is a reasonable thought.
They were this morning.
And this morning was beautiful blue skies, and by about 11 it all gone grey again, and there has a creek cross thing going on. So I think seeing the skies is probably very likely.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was all good. UK is going through it's a pretty traumatic time in the UK, culturally,
Bit like New
politically,
York.
spiritually.
Yeah.
Same with lots of places in America. Also, Europe is in a
Mess.
yeah. So these are interesting and challenging times, shall we say?
Yeah. Well, in these times, I'm thankful for you guys because you put together a song, and that song really unified something. And I was just talking to my wife about this. It created this right here, a big smile on my face, and something like this. And I might be too old, and I'm doing it wrong. It's just like, I want to thank you guys for creating that soundtrack in my life that I can look back. And not only do I have to look back, but when I share what you guys have done with my friends, my family, even my kids, it's fun to see them have this exact same reaction. So thank you for doing that and putting that out in the world. That's exactly what we need today.
Yes.
Yeah, music should be a unifier. Absolutely.
It certainly should.
It should.
That, I think and everybody can do what they want to do, but I think its primary role is to unify people. Absolutely right.
And it's very kind. What you just say is very kind.
No,
And,
we appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's we never get tired of doing it. Even though we've got loads of other songs we do as well.
Sure.
On a couple of occasions, I've stood there and thought, how many years can I still get away with it?
Yeah.
But,
Well, what's good
beyond that, I just get on with it.
What's good about it? The older we get, the more ridiculous it becomes, and I quite like that. I quite like the irony of it, And we were never talking about ourselves anyway. We were commenting on certain people at a time of.
I've sort of half believed it.
So the older we get, it is weird, and we change it now. The version we have live is about 6 minutes. And it's quite tough. So we do different. We've got some shows coming up in Europe, and we start rehearsals in when did we start rehearsals? April, I think. Oh no, May actually.
I saw that on your Twitter.
Yeah, so we're just doing a little bit of pre-pro now. We've got some pre-production on Tuesday, so we're just running through some songs. For the first sets in Europe are quite short, only 30 minutes, so that's pretty easy for us, particularly in Europe. We've had a lot of success there, so we can pick and choose really. But sexy. We've moved it around the set. It never feels right doing it anywhere apart from the end.
No,
never. Because the song finishes with "I'm too sexy for this song." It kind of does the job.
It does the job for you.
And if you come in with a song after that, it's like,
Not really.
that's not really working.
No, I love that. And I like how you were talking about time passing by and how you grew. And I was going to save this question for the latter part of the interview, but I might as well bring it up now. I'm Too Sexy started on the catwalk, and eventually I saw it work its way to the beer bench.
Yes, you did.
Yes, it did. Yes,
you did.
We were in southern Germany, I think it was. There's a radio station there called Antenna. I think it's Munich.
I think it
yeah.
is, yes.
And we had a very early morning session with them. So we just went along, and there's an band called very good band called Dishawida. And they're young German guys. Just very quickly, in case your listeners don't know, in Germany there's a type of music called Schlager, which is sort of a traditional folk, and it became about 20 years ago. It was becoming a bit uncool. Suddenly you've got these young kids playing it again and doing their own take on it. And and so you've got a lot of young kids who think Schlager is very cool, and you've got some artists who are only successful within the Schlager market.
Some of them are huge,
and some of them are apps. There's a lady called Helena Fischer. I mean, she'll do a 20-date stadium tour like that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Very, very successful, and it also bleeds into Holland a little bit, but it's predominantly Germany, Austria, and then into Holland a little bit.
Yeah.
But Schlager market is very big.
Sorry, go on.
No, so the Shawida are these young guys, and we met them at this studio, at this radio station in Antenna in Munich, and they said, "Would you want to do this song?" So we said, so they then just played it, and we went, "This is great,
So
man!
funny.
This is great." So they said, Richard did the vocal there, and they pre-recorded it, and then we sort of
Piled into a car
and sung along with it, and that was shot at about 8:45 in the morning, and we didn't think anything of it. Then suddenly it's popping up all over our social media, and it went mental. I think it's done 25 million hits. I can't remember now. It's done a lot. Yeah, it's done a lot of hits, and that's what sort of that the Schlager market can do. That it can take a song, for example. John Denver is used a lot within the Schlager market, particularly Country Roads.
Yeah, Country Roads.
Country Roads is
You stick a 4/4 thing.
Country Road, and it's huge.
Yeah.
Same as like you'll get something like Sweet Caroline. They would have redone that, etc., etc. So some of these songs go absolutely stratospheric, and that version of Sexy went very big. Yeah.
What was interesting, but when we started, they deferred the German charts or the European charts deferred to America and the UK all the time, and then since that time, since when we broke, these countries have found their own. They've become much more sensitive to their own history and their own sense of self and their historical musical history. And that's why the Schlager thing has suddenly exploded. When we started, there was no Schlager really in terms of pop. And then it just suddenly, over the last few years, it's just gone mad.
Yes, it's very central now.
Yeah. Which is kind of, I think it's good when countries stop deferring to other countries. I think it's good when you start to find out what your own national musical heritage is. And you can pick pick bits of it that you like and bits of it you don't. So, and the UK has historically always looked to America, and America's looked to Europe. The other day we were talking to a lady in Japan, and so there are some artists in Japan that you've never heard of, that I have never heard of. They're absolutely massive.
Doing massive business.
Huge.
Yeah.
And the West is very colonial about its music. It thinks that all the good music is happening in Europe and America. Actually, it's happening everywhere.
Yeah, she played a track from a band called Slot Machine.
Slot Machine, yeah.
Really good band. I think they might be Vietnamese, possibly, but they're really good.
Yeah. And it's the same in South America and all this kind of stuff, So it's important to remember that. There's loads of stuff happening.
I love to see culture coming out and to get a taste of what it really is. Now, you said, and forgive me, Schlager?
Schlager. SCH with lager on the end. SCH.
Yes,
Schlager.
Yeah.
Schlager. Okay. We dumb that word down and we call it polka.
Yeah,
because
I mean that's possibly true. Actually, yeah. I mean, yes, I remember. Yes, I think polka may be the American equivalent. Yeah, a little.
Yeah,
there's certainly a crossover. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
and in southern Germany, in southern Germany, you still see a lot of guys wearing the traditional leather. What do they call them? Lederhosen. And the hats with the feather in it. It's very, particularly when you go down south, it's very traditional.
And into Tyrol, into Austria. Yeah.
I personally love it. I I think the Germans should be as German as possible, and the Americans should be as American as possible. The French should be as French as possible. That's what makes everything so interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think about crossing the borders and how we look at the Beatles and how they invaded America. And that brings me to a musical idol, Richard, that rumor has it you have a connection with, David Bowie.
Yes, Richard performed with him on about 3 videos, was it?
Yeah, I think 3.
Yeah. And then we met him. There's a big pop show it's gone now. It's gone now, but a big pop show in England called Top of the Pops. Very big show, and it was kind of the establishment seal of approval. You do Top of the Pops, you've arrived, And we were on Top of the Pops, and Richard had done previously, about 6 years before, had done these 3 videos with David Bowie, and David is there, and he walks up to Richard. He said, "What are you doing here?" And Richard said, "I got a hit record, mate."
you cheeky blighter! I couldn't believe it.
I think he thought we were making the team, and he was very nice. He was a sweet guy, but it was quite fun. What are you doing here?
Yeah. Well, I remember walking into when the offer came in for the first job. I wasn't really terribly aware of him because I'd grown up with the Stones and the Beatles and people like that, Pink Floyd. So he wasn't really on my radar. I went into this small room in Wardour Street in Soho in London, and I didn't even notice him. He was sitting in a chair. He's quite a slight person. I didn't really notice him. And at the time, I had a ponytail.
80s.
In the 80s.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And he said to me, if I give you the job, would you cut off the ponytail? So I said, to get this job, I'll cut anything off. Frankly, I needed the money.
Yeah, so, it was a good job.
And it was a good job. Yeah, he was very nice.
Oh, that's sweet. I love to see how in America we say, 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, how we're all connected somehow. And especially with music, those influencers in your life I'd like to talk about. But I have AD really bad. And I have to ask you this. I ask this of all of my guests. Are you gentlemen left-handed or right-handed?
Left-handed.
I'm sort of ambidextrous.
Okay.
Yeah, I throw with my left. I write with my right. I can use scissors with kind of both hands. Edward Scissorhands. And so I'm sort of ambidextrous.
They say that if you're left-handed, you're a genius.
Yeah,
it's a sign of genius.
Left-handed people say
left-handed people say that. Yeah,
I'm left-handed, so I'm always looking, especially to those artists out there that have created something as big as they have. Where does that creativity come side? Now, left-handed, I'm left-handed too, so I naturally know that you're in your right hemisphere, which is creativity. So when 100% of my guests, up until you gentlemen came along, were right-handed, I'm just so dumbfounded. So, Richard, thank you for joining my left-handed club. And I'll give you some credit too, I guess, right?
Ringo Starr is left-handed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he plays drums right-handed, but he's left-handed.
That is, I think, you're right about that. Yeah, that's not... Well, you play bass right-handed.
I play bass right-handed, but I'm left-handed.
Yeah,
but I think that's why Ringo Starr is such a unique drummer, because he's left-handed but plays on a right-handed kit, so I think he thinks differently about. So if you let them to come together, a more boring drummer would have done a normal groove to come together, but Ringo Starr does something very special on that track. Yeah, so
great part.
Yeah,
wonderful.
So many of our guests know, not a lot of our guests know, you gentlemen are brothers.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are brothers. Yeah, correct.
Richard is the oldest, and
he's oldest.
Fred came along.
Yeah.
So I want to know, I have a brother too. Richard, how was Fred as a little brother? And then after that, Fred, how was Richard as a big brother?
I don't remember Fred because I would have been 3 when he came along, so I don't really have any memory of being alone as a child, and I was only really aware of being in a brother relationship with somebody when I was about 6 or 7. By the time Fred was 3 or 4 and I was 6 or 7, so I don't think when we were younger, we weren't very close. I don't think.
No.
Because Fred was much more of a party kind of going out guy.
I was quite good at sports.
Yeah, Fred was good at sports, and I was pretty crap at sports. And, and I was a bit more bookish than Fred, I think. So we weren't very close. It was only music that really brought us together, I think.
Yeah, wanting to play and write, that was the thing that brought us into the same sort of world. Before that, we were quite separate.
Yeah, we were.
We didn't not get on. We just had separate friends, just...
It was funny.
Yeah,
it was funny.
Sure. My brother's a doctor, and I'm so far on the other side of the spectrum where not even close to being a doctor, but we found things that united us. And I think that's unique, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about that with you gentlemen, because one's left-handed, one's right-handed, one was, as in the sports, one was more in the book. That has got to do something amazing for the chemistry of the evolution, what you gentlemen continue to do with Right Said Fred.
We have our defined roles.
Yeah, we do, really. Not intentionally defined, they just happen.
Yes, so...
I'm the one upon whom the light shines.
Which I'm delighted about. I'm more than happy for that to be the case. Yeah. So I tend to be. So when we're off stage, I tend to be more in the centre of what's going on.
Yeah.
And when we're on stage, that's Richard's job. So
how it comes.
So we swap. So off stage or we show because we manage ourselves. We don't have we self-release.
Independent.
So we're independent. We have an agent, and we have an accountant, a lawyer, but we don't have, assistants and managers. We tried all that; it didn't work for us. So we do it much more as a cottage industry, a bit like how music started.
Yeah.
So we work like that, and I tend to take care of that. And but once we're on stage or in the studio, or whatever, then the studio is sort of even, isn't it?
Yes, it's 50-50.
Yeah, but then when we're on stage, it's that I just play guitar and let him do what he wants to do. Yeah.
When we were signed, when we were signed to labels and stuff, we didn't take kindly to being told what to say, what not to say, and how to behave, and it's just not our thing. And it I think one of the reasons we became musicians was because we didn't want to do anything else. The idea of clocking in, clocking out, doing this, don't say that, don't say this, And there was a couple of occasions where we were told, you can't say this or you can't say that. When I was with my partner, because Stuart, we were both guys, we had to travel in separate cars to premieres, and it was pretty pathetic, really. Actually.
Yeah, the gay thing was a big deal back then.
Back in the day, and in all fairness, what I should have done when the label said you've got to travel separately, what I should have done is no. I'm sorry, that doesn't happen. We're going to walk in together, and if you don't like it, too bad.
Too bad.
But of course, when you begin and you have a hit record, you don't know why you're having a hit record. It could be the record, it could be the management, it could be the label,
luck,
it could be the publisher, it could be luck, it could be anything. So you don't really want to rock the boat, and that's my only defence. I was completely insecure about what I was, and I should have. And it was bad for Stuart, actually, my partner. It was unfair on him, I think, not to be more ballsy about the thing.
Yeah.
And you have to stand up and be who you are. You can't. It makes for a miserable life if you're not who you are.
Yeah, we were offered we get offered a deal about every 3 years. We were offered a record deal last year, and it was a major label from Europe. And we said, okay, well, we're not anti. We're open to doing deals. It's just it has to be done our way, not their way. And so this label sent us a long, long email about what they're playing out. And then it had the songs we're going to put on the album. I'm like, I don't mean to be rude, but as co-writers, we've got co-writes on 4 American number ones, on 11 international number ones, and many, many other things. So who are these songwriters that you think we should be sidelined for? And they weren't interested in having that conversation. Basically, this is the project. This is what you're going to do. And if you don't, agree to this, then there's no deal. So we said, well, there's no deal then. See ya.
We did actually come up with another list of songs that we wanted to do.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
We actually went through the thing and came up with a whole list of songs we thought would work. but it was flatlining. It really was, you know.
So and we can't. It doesn't work for us like that. You know?
Also, what you have to, there are things that happened to us that I remember really clearly. When we first went to the States, we had, the album was big, the single was big, and blah, blah, blah. Went into all the restaurants, Spargo's and all that kind of stuff. And then when the second album stiffed, we went back to America thinking everything would be pretty much the same. And it wasn't. No. There was a club in LA, and when the band was hot, I went straight to the front, got the manager came out, showed me around, everything else. After the second album flopped, I was on the back of the queue, paying $5 to get in. Oh, really?
So you're right.
Yeah. So what? And I actually, funnily enough, I actually quite like that. I actually quite like the honesty of it. You know, your album's big, so come in. Your album's crap, out the back. Yeah. So I quite
it is
like
what it is, man.
It is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. So
Amazing. That's so awesome to see that. So I know you guys have asked this probably a million times, but you're sitting there, your album drops, you're just kind of waiting to see what happens next. And you either turn the radio on or somebody gives you a ring and said, you're blowing up. What was that first call like? And how did you transition that from where you were to where you are to where you want to go?
Right. Well, when I'm Too Sexy broke, we didn't have a record deal.
no.
So it broke without a record deal. We didn't sign a record deal until it broke in July over here in the UK. It broke in July 1991. We didn't sign a deal till late October, November. So initially it was just our manager. There was no real, there wasn't really a label per se. We were working with a promotions company, and our manager phoned up, a very young girl called Tamsin. And what happened was she had heard I'm Too Sexy. She said, if I can get this on the radio, can I be your manager? So he said, yeah, knock yourself.
Never thinking she would.
Never thinking she would. And the biggest, I think it was the biggest daytime radio show in Europe at the time, a guy called Simon Bates. And he had the breakfast show in London. And she gets it on there. They play it. And the phones just go mental. And so we're training in the gym and, you know, doing our lives, and the phone suddenly goes, what's going on? So, well, the record's going mad. Then within 24 hours, we got the press in the gym and people standing outside our flats. And I'm going, this is just stupid, man. It's just a song. You know, and
no, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Well, yeah, exactly. So what happened is that suddenly it started breaking in different countries, all on import, or it was licensed, one or the other. And so we suddenly found ourselves going to Belgium and Holland, and all over the place. And then once it broke in America, which I think was February or March in '92. All the rest of the world opened up. So suddenly South America were buying into it, Australia, Japan.
But the thing about the American number one was we got the phone call.
Oh, the American number one, yes.
The American number one, we got the phone call in an airport in Mauritius.
No,
St. Lucia. We were on holiday. We're in St. Lucia, in the baggage area, wherever it is, and there was a phone on the wall. It was a tiny airport. There was a phone on the wall. It rings, and somebody says, "Is right? All right, said Fred here." So. Yeah. So our manager, Tamsin, goes over, and that's when we got the nod for number one in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
That was really extraordinary.
That was mad because you're thinking, wow, that is. So we went to Miami because we had some promo to do. And Richard and I hired a Thunderbird or Firebird or
Thunderbird, I think.
Yeah, like a car, like a cabriolet
like a car.
But it is a car.
It was a car.
It's not like a car. It is a car. And we go driving. I think we're in Coconut Grove, something like that. Yeah. And this is absolutely true. We're just channel surfing because I've been to America before, but I'm not familiar where the radio stations are on the dial. So we're in this car. One of us is turning, and suddenly it just goes. And America's number one is Right Said Fred, and we were like, oh my God, it's true. The record company weren't lying. It's actually true. And we I don't think we stopped because we couldn't. We were on a motorway, or not motorway, but busy road. And we just sat there. We're like, this is frigging mental, man.
Yeah.
And then we came back to England and went back and forth. And yeah, it was mad.
Before we went to America, we met Michael Stipe
Oh, yeah.
from REM. And we were backstage at the Brits. So we met Michael Stipe. He was very nice. And he had these little purple glasses on. And he said, you guys are off to America, aren't you, soon? So he said, yeah, we're off to America soon. He said, man, it'll kill you.
He was kind of right about that.
And he was kind of right.
Yeah.
What? Tell me about that. What do you mean? How did it kill you? Break it down.
The sheer size of it.
The workload.
The workload, the sheer size of it. The great thing about Americans and music is you evangelize what you do.
You do, yeah.
You know, a lot of other countries don't. They just have their music and it stays where it is. But America had this and has had for years and years and years. As far as I can tell, it's been a very evangelistic kind of thing. And once it's a hit in America, I mean, Blake Shelton. I've never heard of Blake Shelton. He doesn't do any gigs over here, but I play him all the time. So America is really, really good at that. And so I think when we went to America, that was the thing that really struck us. It was a business. It was a business. The first person we met at the radio stations was the accountant. That was the first person. And whereas in the UK and Europe, you still get a sort of cottagey feeling about it. You know, if you know what I mean, it doesn't strike you. But I don't know what it is. But in America, it was definitely a business.
Yeah, you could always hear the wheels turning.
Yeah, you could.
And and it was very. And we were told off. Our record label told us off many times.
We weren't acting famous.
You
enough.
aren't famous. You don't act famous enough. And we didn't like having bodyguards, and we don't like limos very much. So we said we don't want a limo. We get a cab. It's fine. And we don't take the bodyguards. We just don't want them. We don't need them. And they said, but you're famous. You've got to have all this. We go, we don't want it, man. And so they complained about us a few times. I mean, I think they meant well. But the American thing is a very different animal. And there was a Kathy Dennis, who's a songwriter and a singer, very successful. And we were in England, and we were just chatting about coming to America. And she said, if you're not successful in America, you're not successful. And I thought, that doesn't sound right to me. But once we had been in America,
there's an element of truth.
There's an element of truth, because in music, America's 50% of the world market. So if you haven't had anything in that market, there's half the world you're not successful in. So to a degree, she's right, so then we went on the road and we kind of thought, there's a degree of what she said.
Yeah.
There's
Also,
a degree of truth.
Also, people in America were incredibly much more accepting than I thought, because we were. When I look back at some of the stuff that I used to wear. You know, I mean, if I'd seen me, I would have belted me straight.
We were ridiculous.
I would have thought, look at that twat. I'm sorry, in his silly body stocking. What an idiot, you know. But we did a gig in a rough old place. We were in a diner. That's right. We came out of this diner in the middle of nowhere, and walking down the steps, and there were a whole bunch of bikers who had just left their Harleys, put their Harleys back up, and were about to walk into the restaurant, and they all dropped to their knees and did the "We're Not Worthy" thing. Now, I'd never heard.
We hadn't heard of Wayne's World.
We didn't know Wayne's World. I didn't know what that was. So they did the whole way "We're Not Worthy" thing, and there was a lot of good memories actually.
Fantastic
from that period.
Yeah.
And we stayed, just very quickly. I won't bore you. We stayed in a hotel in New York, and for some reason which I cannot explain, I used to carry around a great big stuffed bunny. Like a kind of rabbit, like a bunny, great big thing.
Yeah, why did you do that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Big. I think it was a father issue I had. Anyway, it had big floppy ears and everything, and I lost it. Right in my room, it was gone. So I reported it to the reception, thinking that's the end of it. It's lost. Can you keep an eye on it? Suddenly, over the tannoy of the whole hotel, Mr. Fairbrass has lost his fluffy rabbit. Can somebody please, if you find it, can you please? No, I don't want everybody, anyway, what it was, the laundry people had taken it and cleaned it. That's all it was. But, that was kind of embarrassing. But we had lots of good memories.
Yeah, fun, man.
And we lived in New York, obviously.
Yeah, we lived in New York in 86 and 87.
In the 80s, we lived in New York.
Yeah, so we were familiar with America, but New York America, which is very different to the rest of America, obviously. Yeah.
Absolutely. We talk about the fun times, the good memories. but we also realize that there are some speed bumps along the way. During this time, every musician goes through this, the artist goes through this one question: what am I doing here? How long can I sustain this? And am I doing the right thing with my life right now? When did that hit you, gentlemen? I'm just making the assumption that it hit you at some point in time. But when that hit you, what did that look like? Where were you guys?
What's the time? It happened to me 5 minutes ago.
It's a bit late in the day.
a bit late in the day. No, I know exactly what you mean.
We had this conversation. We actually had this conversation in about 1993 four or five, because although we were as an independent band, we got dragged into the whole mainstream. We were doing all the big shows and all this sort of stuff. And we were being told what to do, and we were being told how to act, and our record company was shouting at us, and our tour manager was shouting at us, and all this sort of stuff. And we were probably drinking a bit too much, and and so we kind of stopped. We went, what's going on here? Because this kind of sucks. We're not playing any music. What we didn't realise is that we were going to become celebrities. Suddenly we're going to parties and red carpet events, and famous people are coming up saying, I know you. And I'm thinking, this is all, I'm just in a band.
It was all very surprising.
We're just in a band, And so in about the mid-90s, we walked away from everything, and we set up our own record label called Happy Valley, because it's called Happy Valley because I was on, and that's when I started antidepressants. And so I thought that was quite apt.
Quite natural, yeah, exactly.
And so, so we started this record label, and we had quite a lot of success on our own terms. Not the UK wasn't interested, but Europe was pretty supportive. Didn't have any success in America with the new stuff, but we did in other parts of the world. Then we just proceeded like that. And then in the early 2000s, we did a new deal with another record label who were working with BMG, and that meant we had access to that big machine again. And we had a huge amount of success in the early 2000s, well, with a couple of albums. We had a song called You're My Mate, a song called Stand Up, that just went mental. And so our career does that a lot, partly because we cannot play the game. My wife says to me all the time, but people have to play the game. I said, I can't. I cannot. I will not. So,
some people are really good at it.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Some people are really good at playing the game. They do the media ball, the catwalk thing, and then the premieres, and it works for them. We have tried it a couple of times, and on one occasion in Leicester Square, it was a big do.
John
Travolta was there, and Wild Hogs was the premiere, and blah blah blah. And we get there, and there's people everywhere. There's a red carpet, and it's mobbed. And we thought, oh my God, this is going to be awful. This is going to be so bad. So we saw a pub just up the road. We went up to the pub and got slaughtered first. Got really drunk. And then we went back. And I think some people are really good at it. And I think we're good at writing songs. I think we're good at shows. And that is pretty much it. But also what you're saying about what am I doing? Interestingly, the way the world has gone in the last 10 years, beginning probably with, no, less than that actually, beginning with the COVID thing, you then have to decide what is it that gives your life purpose. And when people come up to us, as they do quite often, and say, thank you for what you're saying, or thank you for the song, thank you for cheering me up, whatever it happens to be, that's the kind of thing.
That's the purpose.
That's the purpose. It isn't really, that's what labels don't understand. I saw Robert Smith being interviewed from The Cure. And he was saying they don't have a manager. And he was saying what their label don't understand is, why don't you want to make more money? Why don't you do this? Because it'll make you more money. And he said that's a big...
He's got enough.
He's got enough. Maybe he's got enough. It's a big a gap in understanding between the guys behind the desk and what motivates them, and the guys, the artists, and what motivates them. It's two completely different things. And that's why there's always this angst between the two.
Also, I think it's depends on your definition of success.
Yeah, exactly.
My definition of success is every morning when I wake up, and waking up is success.
Start of a good day.
It's the start of a good day. That's a good day.
Yeah.
My hands are working,
Exactly.
fingers working. It's all good. So I tend to think my idea of success is I can choose what I do. Almost every day I can choose what I do. And if I want to work, I will. And if we've got shows, obviously I go and do them. But I don't have to go to an office. I don't have to go to a factory. I'm not accountable to anybody apart from my brother and my wife. That's it. And that's how we work. And to me, that is success. So we're not nearly as rich as many other artists, but for me, that's as we've seen recently, the way some artists act. They've got loads of money, but not a lot of brain. And I don't think that's a sign of success.
No.
I think success is not having to play the game and sticking to your guns a bit.
Also, the West is very. It's an obvious thing to say, but the West is obsessed with material wealth, and so as opposed to spiritual wealth.
Yeah, that's right.
And the East is much more spiritually guided than materially guided, and I think it's an interesting thing. And I think particularly in show business, generally, you are encouraged to think that being famous and making lots of money and being relevant and that kind of stuff is the most important thing in the world. And it really isn't. You only have to look at a picture of the Milky Way and see the Earth, bottom left, tiny speck. And then you see, I'm in there somewhere. It's like...
And not for long.
Yeah. Get yourself in perspective, pal.
Yeah.
It really is. You just have to get your head around that. Yeah.
Man, thank you for that. Success is always kind of strategy. We start young and we see what success looks like, or we see what success looks like, and then we work our way through life. And that's one of the messages that my wife and I give her kids, is that success does not equal money. Success equals, are you happy? Are you doing something with your life? To not just make yourself happy, but being a part of a community and changing that and making a positive impact. That's success right there. I remember I was talking to, who was I talking to? They were just saying that they met Muhammad Ali, one of the great boxers, and he walked up to him and he said, do you go to hospitals and do you perform concerts? And he said, yes. And he said, you're my hero. And it's just like, no. You're Muhammad Ali. You're the great boxer. And I just play music. It's not a big deal. It's like, yeah, but you're out there and you're serving and you're making a difference in those children's lives. And that's so true. That's success. And when somebody that we look at so big can look down and say, this is what I think a hero is. Oh, and you guys are nailing it. I mean, there's something about true artists that are true to themselves, and you guys do that. And that's what defines you guys as in being successful, regardless of if the music is hitting or not. You guys are really, truly successful. And I'm so excited to share this message and this story with all of our listeners. I did want to jump forward in time a little bit to something new. Raise your hand. Wow. This is fun.
It's a song about, obviously all the nonsense that's been happening to the whole world for almost 6 years. 6 years next month in terms of lockdowns and stuff. And so our position was, raise your hands. The song is about be who you want to be, stand your ground, have some purpose. And the idea is, raise your hands if you're going to be who you want to be. That's the whole point. But don't get distracted, stay on message. So that's what the song is about. We wanted to write a anthemic sort of unifying song.
Yeah.
So that's the idea of Raise Your Hands. At the moment, it's getting really well received. So we're very happy with it. Yeah.
There's a line in the song which is "Here's to us damn few," which is in the verse.
The verse, yeah.
Now our mother used to say that, and we never knew what it meant. We had no idea what it meant. But it's what a lot of British people used to do when they were raising a glass during the war.
Yes.
Which is, here's to us. There's few of us. There's not many of us. but let's raise a glass to us.
Yes.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
Here's to us down for you. And Mum used to say all the time,
Yeah.
and we had no idea.
So we had to ask her.
So we had to ask her, what it meant. Yeah.
So it was, So that's the idea of the song. It's the, we hope with the response we're getting so far is that people find it very uplifting and empowering, and that is the plan. So
I'm really looking forward to doing it at a show.
we will. Yeah, absolutely.
Looking forward to that.
The message is fantastic. I love the message that is buried in songs. Outside of, and it took me a while to understand, and my understanding of what I'm Too Sexy is. But for me, my interpretation was, I have confidence. I have the confidence to know that I can do this. And it's not so much that I'm beautifully sexy, but it's something more to that I start reading into as an adult. It's just like, okay, I see, at least I'm interpreting what I see, that these guys, they're not talking about how buff and sexy they really are, but there's a confidence that they have. And please correct me. I'm going straight to the horse's mouth here. Am I wrong?
No, it's about empowerment in a way. It's about empowerment and not being. I mean, I'm not. I used to, not so much now, but I used to take far too much notice of what other people said. And one of the great benefits of getting older is, as Ricky Gervais says, you don't care. You really don't care. So I'm much more in touch with what I actually want to do now. And as you say, I'm Too Sexy is we just wanted, at the time, we didn't really analyse it too much. We just wanted to write something that was a bit mad, unlike anything else that was out there, and something that that's why in terms of going back, in terms of lyrics, for instance, we made sure that we didn't make any of the lyrics subject to a sell-by date. So we weren't going to have something like, I'm Too Sexy for Stallone. But for instance, if he suddenly became Yesterday's Man, then the song would become Yesterday. So we chose archetypal images like cars and hats and cats and all that kind of stuff. So we were quite thoughtful about it, but it is essentially about empowerment. When we first started, a woman wrote a letter to us, and she said she was burying her son, who was 7, who had died from leukemia. And she said he wanted to be buried with a CD copy of I'm Too Sexy. Which is very, very cool. Very cool. And what I've learned is never, ever, ever ridicule what you do, because you never know out there what it means to somebody else. You have to take it seriously without being po-faced about it.
Yeah. Humility.
Yeah, a little bit. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, as we talk about humility, I know you guys have met thousands of people. During those times, sure, those individuals have shared stories with you, whether they're impactful stories and how you changed your lives. Would you gentlemen be able to share a story?
Okay. Couple of things. Actually, one happened on when we were in Mike Graham Thursday, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, we were in London on Thursday. And a guy came up to us, and he was quite very nice looking man. You can tell when he was young, he was probably a model or whatever.
I know, the guy on the street.
Yeah, and he just came up. He said, "I just want to say hi and thank you." And he said, growing. I said, I'm gay, and he said, growing up in we grew up in Wales, and he said very rural. Being gay was very, very difficult, and he said, "You guys were a beacon." He said, because you made it all right. And he was actually very sort of really quite emotional and sincere about it, saying, "You've got no idea how that enabled me to be who I am and to leave my home and to, to take my journey." Exactly. So things like that. That was that is pretty amazing, really. And during I don't know if you know this, but during the whole lockdown thing in the UK. We were actually voted the most controversial band in the UK. We were newspaper awarded because we didn't follow the narrative. So we were saying people should be making a choice for their own lives. They shouldn't be
badgered.
They shouldn't be bullied into accepting things they don't want to accept. That's what we said. And we went to a protest, and it was quite a big deal. We were on the newspapers, and we were getting character assassination every day. They were horrible to us. But this little old lady came up to us. Well, not a little old lady, but this lady, and she's crying. And she said, where I am, everyone believes that they should believe what the government says. And she said, thank you for saying what you said, that I should be who I want to be. And she's crying, and we gave her a hug. And that was great. You know, it's so sweet for people to come up and bare their souls. Well, they don't have to.
No, they don't have to.
So things like that are very important and make you stop and think.
Yeah. One thing I think in the last 5 years, I think it started in Brexit actually with the UK. There's nowhere near enough kindness out there. There really isn't. People can disagree. We've got used to disagreeing. It's all fine. But now disagreeing ends in verbal violence or physical violence. And that is something that I noticed it first with Brexit. It became very, very they slurred each other, and nobody was interested in finding the centre at all. It's like reaching across the aisle in America. It's really, really important, and it's sad to see what's happened in America as it is here, where the sides have just become so polarised and so much animosity towards each other, and you will never reach any kind of understanding of anything at that if you go down that road. It will just be more and more fighting and conflict. And it's a great shame. I think in the West we were used to being able to disagree. You know, you could be a Republican, you could be a Democrat, a Tory, Labour, whatever. But you felt that you could disagree about all these peripheral things, but the fundamentals in America, your patriotism to America, say, or in the UK, your fundamental belief in freedom of speech, stuff like that. Those things are now disputable.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
and that's not right. It's just not right. No.
I agree with you. I think we're building way too many walls. Whether you're straight, you're bisexual, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, whether your culture, you're black, you're white, you're whatever color you are, there's all these walls that we're building. And it's just like, listen, this is my interpretation of life. We are all in this world together to work together, better together. The opportunity our paths crossing, I'm taking something away from this, a great big thing away from this. And there's a reason why I'm doing that. Our paths are meant to cross, but we can't do that. We can't grow. We can't grow better for the human race if we continue to build these walls.
You ever get the feeling... Now you're saying that, I'm beginning to wonder whether the reason Elon Musk wants to get to Mars is because he thinks it's going so bad down here, he just wants to sod off.
Him and his mates.
Yeah, him and his mates. Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't think anything else like that. Yeah. It'd be nice to kind of have a place to go to where we can be who we are without being judged.
Well, there's always somebody telling you to be something else.
Yeah.
Somebody once said that all the problems in the world will be sorted out if everybody would just sit down,
be quiet,
and be quiet. It's true. It's true. If we would all just sit down and be quiet, everything would be fine. But there's people in the West and the East and all over the place who just want to cause trouble, and their reason for the way they hold on to what they've got is by defining opposition and defining friends and foes.
Well, it's the old school thing, isn't it? Divide and rule.
Divide and rule. That's exactly what it is.
It's been going on for centuries.
Yeah. We need to find politicians who are right down the middle and convincing to be right down the middle.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. There's always a thing, this that's going to motivate you one way or the other, unfortunately, especially in the political arena. And I don't want to go down that route right now. But I did want to say this. I was a big fan of yours from the beginning. But as I talk to you guys now, I'm a different kind of fan of you gentlemen. For you sharing what you shared, it's beautiful to hear that there's people out there that want to love just to love without putting the walls up or horse riders.
That's exactly what music should do.
Yeah,
which is why the Bob Dylan thing at Glastonbury 2 years ago, whenever it was such a terrible thing, because he was using a music platform to divide people and spread dislike and hate. I have absolutely no time for that. What's interesting, if you go back to the Beatles, bands like that, love is all you need.
Yeah.
We've lost that message.
Yeah.
I really think we have. It's very depressing, actually.
If we could form, bring some bands together, kind of like they did with, what was it, Band-Aid? And just, if we could come up with a way to write a song about love and unity, and I mean, I'll challenge you guys on that, and I will definitely challenge the individuals, the artists that I speak to. This is what we need. We need a beacon out there that people can look up instead of looking down.
No, I agree.
No,
Absolutely.
that's very true.
I agree.
Yeah.
You need something that inspires people and makes people feel good. And music can do that. Music can definitely do that. It's just been left to some pretty negative people, I think, over the last few years to peddle a kind of sad and depressing message rather than an uplifting one.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about inspiring. What inspired you guys to be the gentleman that you are today, and you want to compete?
Frank Sinatra inspires me, actually. Frank Sinatra, because he was next to Presley, two of the greatest pop singers I think we've seen. So that as a performer, he's inspiring because he just did it until he dropped. And there are some moments when you hear, I don't know, Dave Gilmour's guitar. You suddenly it can be inspiring, or a great song can be inspiring.
Yeah, I listen to Bill Withers quite a lot.
Yeah, Bill Withers. Yeah.
And I just, for me, one of the best singers of all time.
Yeah,
and a wonderful songwriter.
Yeah.
And in terms of inspiring day to day, I find other people, the way they deal with their lives. Some people have it really tough. And I go to church most Sundays, not every Sunday, but most Sundays, and I find that little, and it's only a small church and a couple hundred people or something, but I find that quite inspiring. It's a collective. It's a space that's meant to do good. That's what.
Nobody's in there with a bad vibe.
No one goes in there. So it's a collective thought. And so for an hour and a half, you've got a safe space for people who want to sit and reflect and pray or whatever they want to do. And sometimes, the pastor we have is very good. Sometimes I have guest speakers, not mad about them, but I don't let that get in my way. And I find that inspiring. I think my wife was helping out at a homeless shelter for years until recently it closed, sadly. And loads of people, just come down. They would have made a pie. They would have made some soup. They would have a whole bunch of clothes they don't need anymore. Whereas they could put it in a bin line and throw it away, but they've gone to the effort of jumping in their car, coming to the church, dropping it off, with traffic and all the hassle that comes with that. And little things like that I find inspiring. I think people, given the chance, can be wonderful.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. There's a guy that Fred knows him better than I do, who's Father Augustine, who's a Jesuit priest.
No, Franciscan monk.
Franciscan monk, sorry.
Yeah.
And what's quite inspiring about him is his certainty of faith. That's interesting.
Yes.
So we bumped initially in Gibraltar, and he was walking along the road with his habit and the big wooden cross and the sandals, doing the whole thing. And we said, "Where are you off to?" He said, "Well, me and a few friends were meeting up. It's the Virgin Mary's birthday." So what he didn't say is, some people think it's the Virgin Mary's birthday. He didn't say it's.
I think it is.
He was absolutely certain that it was her birthday. And whether you agree with that or not, what was inspiring about it was his certainty in his faith.
Yes.
I wish I had it, actually. I wish I had that kind of certainty. But sadly I don't. Maybe when I'm later. when I'm closer to the finishing line,
you might get the tap.
I might get the tap,
Well, as I end this, I'd like to say this to all my guests. May God bless you guys. May He have blessings upon your sail, on your journey, as you continue to move forward in this small thing we call life. I mean, it's a small period of our life. As alluded to earlier. I'm so thankful for this opportunity. Thank you, guys.
It's a pleasure, Jeremy. Thank you very much. All the best. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you, Richard. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Pass Forward Now. If you enjoyed the content, please like, subscribe, and share it with others that you feel it would impact. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate your support.